It's the Bush League Mud Show. It's the Bush League Mud Show. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Make some noise!
All right, yo. It is that time of the week again. Slade,
PJ,
back for another episode. It is the Bush League Mud Show, the show in which we watch it so you don't have to, even though we love professional wrestling.
Love it. It's a damn chore to watch.
As New Jack would say, R.I.P., it is what it fucking is. Be sure to like and subscribe the podcast on YouTube. Also, shout-outs Dizzy Course Media and producer Nate. Well, WWE roster cuts, we thought that this was all over and done with because they had had their most recent releases on what used to be Tax Day.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
April 15th. No, it has now become WWE Roster Cut Day. Well, they weren't done because we got more of those earlier in the week, right after Memorial Day. What a hell of a way to come back from the holiday weekend, eh?
Yeah, I was just like, okay, NFL cuts kind of happen June 1st sometimes because they want to get guys off the roster. Well, I guess apparently WWE world, those contracts might be the same kind of deal.
Yeah, more roster releases, unfortunately. And according to reports, which we won't dive into too much, there could possibly be even more with the reporting being that the NXT roster might get hit. And I'm thinking to myself, it's already thin as it is. What more can you do to the NXT roster? But we can touch on that at another time. But the highlights of the roster releases that came earlier in the week, which would have been June 2nd, so about a couple of days ago, the big ones, the number one big one, literally the biggest guy on this list, both contract-wise, push-wise, physically, Braun Strowman. The former Universal Champ. He just won it last year at WrestleMania. Remember, it was the last-second call. He was chilling in Wisconsin. They had no Mania plans for him. He flew to Wisconsin, chilling at home. As soon as he walked right through his front doors, he gets the phone call saying, "Hey, pal." He got that "Hey, pal" call.
Yeah, Roman's out. We need you, pal. You're taking on Goldberg.
In a squash match, he ended up winning the title. Finally, when it didn't, I hate to say it, but they had Rybacked him by then. Yeah. It didn't mean anything. We had full steam ahead of him with him at one point, and then we just kind of like pulled the reins back. We constantly teased it. Became a crowd favorite, but we teased it. We pulled the reins back. By then, I think the crowd, he was starting to become like a Ziggler-like presence on the roster where at that point, people had been wanting to see it, and by the time you didn't give it to the fans, when you did do it, nobody cared. And it also didn't help either that he won this thing in an empty arena.
Exactly. Empty arena, and the writing team was terrible for him. Some of the promos that he had to cut while champion and leading up to that phase, you know it wasn't coming from him. You could just tell that because just watching his documentaries and all that, he's a very well-spoken guy and well-thought-of guy that could come up with some great verbiage, I guess, for his promos. But all of a sudden, you're hearing this stuff come out of his mouth, and you're like, doesn't sound right for him at all.
No. Universal Champ. He ended up losing that. He last appeared, he was in the triple threat match at WrestleMania Backlash just a couple of weeks ago. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. He ate the pin that allowed Lashley to retain and prevail as the champion. He was on Raw. You were making fun of this, not at him necessarily, but you were just making a point about how we had just seen him talking about the excitement, and they were using him to promote that WWE was coming back for live fans and the live touring.
They're doing the old cheesy superstars, we're coming to your town promos, and no, he's not, because they just cut him. So
everybody else will be who was not on this list. He won't be.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was making fun of that because I'm like, well, because, again, that was more of the scripted crap they gave him to say, we're coming to a town near you.
Well, let you know, it came out completely out of left field to these cuts. The people on these lists, I highly doubt they knew in advance that this was going to happen.
No, I was thinking, too, trying to go back in my mind, he's got to be the first guy that was cut that was just in a main event for the championship, and it's not like a drug positive test or something like that when ransacked with the law like Jake and Sheik did in the car. I mean, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, okay, this guy was a high-profile program, and now, just like that, weeks later, he's not even on your roster.
Yeah, a big part of the release for him, at least from what it's being reported, is that he had a massive salary that was over $1 million a year.
They must have been putting, okay, we've got this contract, this contract, this contract. I don't know if they were putting names with them, but they were saying, okay, we got this number.
Looking
this
at
number,
the numbers.
this number. And all of a sudden, maybe if you uncover that number, oh, that's Randy Orton. Oh, we're not getting rid of him. Oh, let's unpeel that number. Oh, that's AJ Styles. No, we're not getting him. And then, well, Braun Strowman, I guess we have to get rid of him.
It gets to a point where a company that big, you become a faceless number.
Yeah.
At some point,
yeah.
as the company continues to expand.
And we've talked about the Nick Khan thing. He comes from the agent world. I mean, that's where the previous job was. Now, he used to get money for the players and the best deals that he could. Now he's kind of on the reverse. He's on the other side of things, and he's looking at the books, and it's quite the role reversal, I've got to say, for him to figure this out. And the one thing we're hearing with some of these releases, and we'll get it to with the next big one too, but it was kind of a familiar theme, that it wasn't so much Vince, but it was something underlying or something like that.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the hell this mysterious figure is, but it came out now a couple times in some of these releases that they had good relationships with Vince. It was just somewhere else along the way.
Yeah, someone they were supposed to book as mysterious, and someone they had that was different from the roster, someone that they could have used as one of the part of the next era, if you will, of WWE, that it will go down as one of the biggest tragedies, I think, talent-wise. Aleister Black on this list, which really is strange in a sense, dude, that it was reported just a couple of weeks ago that they were bringing his wife, Zelina Vega, back.
Yeah.
So it got people thinking, okay, maybe somewhere down the road he might be able to do something with the Dark Father gimmick that we just repackaged and just wrote in the storyline a couple of weeks ago, shop vignettes. We had him kick off a feud for Big E during
he ended the show just 2 weeks ago beating up Big E.
Yeah, so it was definitely bittersweet. So the wife's coming back, but you got to go.
Yeah.
So it's the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental title match. He made the appearance and he gave the roundhouse kick to Big E. We ended SmackDown, and then they weren't even on television. He wasn't on television that next week. If you
that's right.
Remember.
They ran out of time. They ran out of time.
They had to cut the pro. Yeah, but they advertised. Okay, he'll be back the next. Well, no, not really. So they had just introduced the new Dark Father persona. They shot the vignettes. This was all, dude, within the last month. Black he went on Twitter and he said, quote, "I'm gathering my thoughts as this was complete left field for me, as obviously we just started the Dark Father character, but this was it. Thank you so much, WWE Universe, for allowing me to create and give you small bits of myself in tweet." He didn't throw any stones or anything. He had, for the most part, on his Twitch stream, he had good things to say about everyone. He was there for about 5 years. Came in, I want to say, originally under his Tommy End name in NXT UK.
Okay.
I want to say originally when they did bring him in, they repackaged him once they put him on the NXT roster as Aleister Black. He talked about his relationship with Vince McMahon, and he said from what he was told, word around, was that Vince was high on him. Vince saw a lot of stuff, a lot of potential in him, and was really excited with where they were going with the Dark Father thing. Yeah. And look, to be here's the thing. Okay, Vince may have seen big things out of Aleister Black, but on what day of the week was that? Because you brought him in already on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
He and Ricochet came in together as a tag team. They never worked together as a tag team before. They were two guys who were individual singles competitors. And we had this thing where around WrestleMania time and a little bit after, we just start skyrocketing all these NXT talents up to the main roster. No explanation. Yep. If you remember, we had Gargano and Ciampa tag teaming together.
Which again, that was a natural tag team, but still, they didn't tag together for like a year and a half before they put him up. I mean, they broke him up, and they had their good rivalry down in NXT, and all of a sudden on the main roster, hey, you guys are a tag team again.
Right, it didn't make any sense.
No,
and Aleister Black, it was so much good stuff you saw out of him, and you go, okay, the NXT talent, they come up to the main roster, they can't get this wrong with Aleister Black, even if they tried. Well, you know what? I feel like I've seen it all now. So, yeah, he is gone. Also amongst the releases is Lana.
Yeah, and that one, too, because we heard the stories. Vince was high on her, especially when they were first getting going. And obviously, he kept her over Miro. Rusev let him go, but kept Lana. So he was high on her. Of course, we saw her get buried this year with the Nia Jax table spots over and over and over again. So that one, too, I guess, was a little surprising because she was one of Vince's favorite flavors of the day, and all of a sudden, not so much anymore when it probably came down to where her number was on the books.
Yeah, they threw her in a makeshift tag team with Naomi recently. They were just on Raw.
Yeah.
They were just on Raw Monday in a tag team match. They took on Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. They competed together at WrestleMania 37.
Yeah.
And, when they brought her in, she was part of the package with Rusev.
Yes.
She got over big time with the crowd.
Big time.
She got over more than him.
Yes.
I mean, he was over as a bad guy, but the crowd loved her.
Yes, with the accent and everything going. I mean, with the whole Russian thing, and when they threw Putin up on the screen and that she was the special counsel to Putin and all.
Then all of a sudden we throw her on Total Divas and now she speaks English.
Well,
perfect English.
Yeah, well, that's probably a Kevin Dunn thing since he gets a producing credit for that. So I'm guessing he was like, oh, yeah, it's all right to change that over, which I know kayfabe's dead, but it was nice to have that kind of package with Rusev for the time that they had.
They're married in real life. They are married outside the ring. Miro right now is currently the TNT television champ, and the odds are people are expecting that when her non-compete, when it expires, she will probably head and work with her husband. Now, she's also talked about there are other things she wants to do modeling-wise and stuff because she's held off on the kids. That was part of the storyline, I guess, both on television and off television, was that Miro was ready to have kids. She wasn't ready yet.
Yes.
She said she didn't want to stretch her
Divas.
body out just yet. She wasn't ready for that. So we'll see where Lana lands. Buddy Murphy.
Yeah.
Very, very talented, athletic, kicked off 205. He was on the show. They finally brought him up to the main roster. And of all of that, his most notable run on the main roster was being in love with Rey Mysterio's daughter, Aaliyah, which at one point they said Vince had high hopes for. And then once her daddy's eye got carved out, we really didn't see much of her anymore. Protege of Seth Rollins. Yeah, that is pretty much, And after that Mysterio thing, we pretty much... we kept him off TV for so long. He came back. He cut a promo on social media saying that the Mysterios used him and they're no good, and we just didn't have any direction. Then it started to tease like we were going to get he and Rollins back together again, and then that fell flat. So, not surprised at all by Buddy Murphy.
And with Murphy and along with Black, those are two Paul Heyman guys. Big time Heyman guys. And Murphy, I still remember that match he had with Roman Reigns on SmackDown a couple years ago. That was fantastic.
Great match.
It was a great match. I thought it turned heads and was going to start doing some more positive things for him. I guess with throwing him with the Seth
WWE,
Rollins.
dude. You should know better.
But I mean, they let him go for that week, and it was fantastic. But again, two Heyman guys, and I don't know if Vince is souring on Heyman guys now or not, but that seems to be a trend here.
Unless the name is Brock Lesnar. That seems to be the only Heyman guy that Vince is all in for. Ruby Riott also on the list, leader of the Riott Squad. Very, I really loved her story, and I think a big part of that was because I was able to watch a behind-the-scenes, more telling about her real life in terms of her training and working hard to get that call and sign a deal with WWE. Just bad luck with her recently. The injury that kept her out for a long time. I believe, was that knee related, or was that no? It was the a torn labrum that she had been working with. And she didn't even know that it was torn. She continued to work, and then finally she got it operated on. She was out for some time. She was leader of the Riot Squad. The original Riot Squad. Now, lately, it was pretty much 2/3. It was her and Liv Morgan. Started off as a trio, her, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan, who has since been released by the company. She was part of the cuts from last year. Riot Squad, they also competed at WrestleMania 37, and they were just on SmackDown a week ago. They lost the match to the tag champs, Natalya and Tamina.
And they had to think highly of Ruby Riott because they put her with Ronda Rousey right away when she was coming up. They had that program with Riot Squad and working with Rousey, and Ruby was like the one that was in the ring with her the most, getting the arm bar and taking all that, moves from Ronda. So the company had to.
Well, that was the beginning of the end too for the Riot Squad. Well, they came out kicking ass every week, and then now we gotta sell arm bars.
Yes, to Ronda, we got to get her over. But I mean, the company had to have some faith in you if they put you with the top moneymaker, arguably on both sides of the ledger right
Well,
there.
because the Bellas were no longer available. They had to go back and shoot Total Divas, sir, and Total Bellas.
If the Bellas had to work with Rousey, that would have been someone probably legit broke their arm.
Santana Garrett also on this list. Now, Santana Garrett, this is an interesting one. I mean, you talk about just she, for many years, she was an enhancement talent for the company. They finally signed her to a deal back in 2019. She had been on the indie circuit for the most part of the last decade. She worked in Impact. She worked in Shine. Worked a lot of various places. Finally got signed to the main roster, competed on NXT. They brought her in this year for the Women's Royal Rumble match. She came in at number 12. She got eliminated by Rhea Ripley, and I will be honest with you, I don't think I saw Santana Garrett anymore since.
I never seen her on NXT, and that's where she was. I mean, she was down at the Performance Center like everyone, but that's with all these cuts. I mean, it was very strange just how they picked the big name, then they took a good tier of the up-and-comers, and then all of a sudden, Garrett, who's just someone around, helping out, an enhancement talent, and she's not like the only one at NXT like that. So I like you were saying, well, there could be more NXT cuts like that coming because they have bodies like Garrett around there that are just, they're not featured on TV or they're not in any other programs, and who the hell knows if they have any plans for them or not, but they could be unfortunately cut here soon.
June 2nd wasn't just a big day for main roster talent with their releases. It was also a busy day for WWE corporate.
And tied hand in hand.
Yeah, which made the signs point a little bit more to President Nick Khan's growing importance to the company. The company had also announced that same day that Khan, along with the names of Steve Koonin and Connor Shield, were elected to its board of directors. Vince McMahon was quoted as saying the addition of Steve, Connor, and Nick provides WWE and its board with some of the most accomplished executives in media. He also said, quote, with such proven track records across our industry, we look forward to their insight and contributions as members of our board.
See, I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of territory days where you didn't have a board. This would never have been imaginable ever. But here we are talking about the number one wrestling company, and
that's the problem.
They're naming it the board,
and that's the problem. Yeah. They don't want to be known as a wrestling company. People on the inside, even Vince, if you listen to some of these board calls, these meetings that they do, these calls, they want to be known as an entertainment company. They look down on the ideal of people looking at them as a wrestling company. Well, newsflash, Vince, what you've been known for, dating back to your father running it, your wrestling company. Now, if you want to say that we, besides wrestling, yes, we're in the entertainment industry in terms of content creating. They did it, with the movies back in the day. They got into the movie, and that's fine. But your bread and butter is professional wrestling.
Yeah, when the average person or like the non-fan or if it comes up on the news, when they mention just the term wrestling, what's the first thing that's affiliated with? WWF it used to be. or, oh, this is WWE now. You are the brand. I don't know why you have a so-called stigma of being wrestling.
As long as you continue to train your talent in a ring and go out in front of a live crowd, and in the middle of that live crowd, there's a ring.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're running around and they're doing moves. Guess what? You're a damn wrestling company. That's just what you are.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'll bring up Adam Cole. He made a big surprise at NXT. And his promo, I found this very interesting. He mentioned pro wrestler a couple times in that this week. Yeah. I don't know if he was just getting it in there or if it's part of the new character, but he just kept on saying wrestler, and he kept on saying pro wrestling. I'm the best wrestler. So I don't, if NXT, if Triple H is giving him a little more leeway.
Vince must have been out for dinner that night, not watching the monitor.
Or, he was eating for the first time that day. But
fried chicken with no flavor.
Yes. Or the spray cheese Oreos maybe he was having that day.
Yes. Coonan is the chief executive officer. Yeah, we're going to tell you exactly who these people are. Coonan, he is the chief executive officer of the NBA's Atlanta Hawks and also State Farm Arena where the Hawks play. He has been in that position since April of 2014. Previously, Coonan had served as the president of Turner Entertainment Networks, which oversees TNT, TBS, True TV, and TCM following a 14-year run with the Coca-Cola Company where he led the marketing and advertising operations.
Wait a minute. Is he... Technically, he's not with the company. He's with the Hawks.
He's with the Hawks in the arena that they play in.
Oh, man, that's a good gig if you can get it. Then you get on the board somehow.
Yeah. Sheil, he is the founder and chief executive officer of a new unscripted content venture announced with Sherman Entertainment. He's a award-winning producer of film and television. Sheil also previously served as the executive vice president content at ESPN, and in that role, he was responsible for the development and production globally of all live events, studio, and original content across ESPN's platforms, products, and services.
All right, so there's our producer that we're looking to get that Emmy for, get that insight.
Yeah, the big name of all of this, of course, is Nick Khan.
Yes.
Nick Khan, you're hearing that name more and more and more, and never, since they've gone public, I can't think, besides Vince or his kids or Triple H, I can't think of anyone outside the family circle where their name has been more recognized than Nick Khan. And he's the big name that as far as the announcement of being added to the board of directors, and with that move, it's got people asking, with the budget cuts or with the talent, the roster cuts, and Khan being named as board directors, is the company gearing up for a sale? Now, I will say, when you're cutting salaries, you're making all these financial moves over the last 6 months or so. Most companies that do stuff like that are public, signs usually point to maybe not today, not tomorrow, maybe not in a year, but at some point, maybe down the road, they would be open to selling because they're clearly trying to keep the profits up. Yeah. They continue to gloat about that, about how even during the pandemic, they profited more than they ever have. That was without live crowds.
We know why, because of the two TV deals.
Correct.
If they didn't have those deals, they would be suffering big time without any live crowds. And let's face it, WWE Shop is not selling as much merch as they would be on the road. I know that personally. When the kids see, I want that, and you're dropping $120 that damn night right on that. So they're hurting in merch sales. I'll say that. They're not making what they were there, but because of the TV deals, they're okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the concern. They're like, well, we could be making more. Maybe that's why there could be another reason for these cuts.
Yeah, I have no reason to believe that they are at least not planning on potentially opening it up for business to be sold within 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be as soon as next year or anything like that, but I could definitely see 3 to 5 years because around that time, these network deals that they have with Fox and NBC will be close to expiring. The sale, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, shout outs to him. He expressed his belief that the cuts are more about Khan and WWE Chief Financial Officer Christina Salin balancing out some unnecessary decisions made by the previous regime. So they are apparently cleaning up. Thurston noticed he noted that there were 300 wrestlers under contract with WWE in 2020, which is far more than the company can use on a consistent basis. Obviously, with WWE unable to use a large portion of the roster, paring it down to save money and creating more opportunities for others. That's the logical move. Also, nothing has come to the rumors, to those rumors to this point, but if Vince wants to sell at this point, financial wise, the profits are so high, very appealing. If you are looking to sell. If you've got buyers out there, if you have someone that can afford, like a Disney, like a Fox, you could throw whatever big time multi-billion-dollar company, whatever it is. I mean, the profits are high. That's going to be something that's going to be enticing to a company looking to add on to its portfolio.
It's just so hard for me to think that Vince would sell this thing. I mean, after the Monday Night Wars, fighting so damn hard, tooth and nail, to just keep the business going. We heard about in the mid-'90s how they pulled the water coolers out of the Titan Towers because they were struggling to make profits. They had to do that just to get by. So he fought so hard to keep this thing going. I thought for sure, he wouldn't be thinking about this at all. But yeah, I guess with these reports, I still find it hard for him to come to that. Now with this, with the stock and everything, even if he does come with a deal or agrees to one, they're going to have a vote. Stockholders are going to have to express, if it's yay or nay for the deal. Or whatnot.
Well, Nick Khan will be the biggest influence for that, right?
Exactly. Though
he's now on the board.
He's on the board.
He'll be the guy that could communicate that to the board on what will be necessary, what will be better for the company going forward. Now, just because if they did get sold doesn't mean that Vince is going anywhere. Vince will probably make a deal on the condition that he's still chairman of the board.
I don't know if they would be able to make that deal, though, because look what happened to Turner with the AOL thing. Ted thought he was going to still be there, President Turner.
Well, Ted apparently didn't read the fine print.
Well, exactly.
Vince has got some pretty good lawyers around him that could sift through that.
Ted had to back in the day. He had to with the Fonda stuff going on and the Braves. I mean, he had to have some lawyers there.
SummerSlam update in terms of the location, the company. They're arranging the schedules around the date. Rumors are Cardi B would be the host, John Cena. They're looking to main event this thing, potentially going at Roman Reigns. Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer, they're reporting that WWE. Now, this Saturday show, they're going to do this as a Saturday show, same night as the Pacquiao-Earl Spence fight. Now, they moved this from Sunday to Saturday to do Las Vegas' Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders played, doing them a favor. So all the signs are pointing to SummerSlam being in Vegas at the football stadium. Well, apparently that might possibly not happen. Apparently something happened between the two sides, and it's not official. The company, though, is still planning on, regardless if it's Vegas or not, they do plan on running at an NFL stadium for SummerSlam.
Saturday date.
Well, you'd have to stick to the Saturday date now, right?
But the problem they're going to have with these other stadiums is they're going to have to look at the preseason schedule and make sure these teams are not there that week.
Now, as far as the NFL football stadiums that will be up for this event for SummerSlam, the locations would include Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. That's the new Chargers-Rams Stadium. This is where Vince wanted to do WrestleMania.
Yeah,
this is where it was original. Mania makeup.
And he would get in still before the Super Bowl next year.
Yes, he would. NRG Stadium in Houston. That's where the Texans play. Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, so that's still in the running. MetLife Stadium in New York and Nissan Stadium in Nashville, where the Tennessee Titans play.
That Nashville one intrigues me. That because they've never thought of putting a big show in Nashville.
No, it's also notable. It's also notable, dude, that SmackDown prior to SummerSlam, that's going to be in Phoenix.
Yeah,
they've got a house show in Denver on that Sunday, which would be the night after SummerSlam. Okay. I don't see the company doing shows in Phoenix and Denver and then flying east to Nashville. Yeah, or at least I don't see them being in Phoenix for SmackDown.
Yeah.
Flying to Nashville for SummerSlam on Saturday just to fly back west to Denver to do the house show on Sunday. I don't see that. I still think it's going to be Vegas. Now, we'll find out for sure because this announcement is going to be made over the weekend during the Belmont Stakes pre-show.
Peacock tie-in right there.
There you go, Peacock tie-in. So, and then also Raw and SmackDown, from what I understand, after SummerSlam, it's going to be in San Diego.
Okay.
So I think Nashville, I don't, whether or not Nashville, there's probably smoke to the fire.
Yeah.
I
was surprised, like I was telling you before, Boston, who was supposed to host it last year, they're not even thinking about it. Not that they put it at Foxborough or anything like that with the Patriots, but just maybe at the Garden or whatnot. But they said the hell with Boston. We're not even thinking about you.
Yeah. So Bush League Mud Show, Slade and PJ. Talking WWE news right now. We were just talking about SummerSlam, and speaking of SummerSlam, a little update to SummerSlam when it comes to Brock Lesnar. It was reported by Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast that Lesnar had been mentioned early on in discussions for potential SummerSlam plans, as the company definitely wants to do something big with him. Now, he is, as of right now, his contract has been expired since last year. He had been on the alumni page, and then it was reported earlier in the week, about a day or two ago, that he's been removed from the alumni part of the website to now the main roster.
That's how we make all the
active
moves now.
talent. Yes, we make little subtle jab moves like that.
It's like we're playing 2K and we can move them from SmackDown to Raw and all that stuff.
Now, I've been saying that, when they started announcing cities where they were going to start having live crowds, one of the cities before SummerSlam is Minneapolis at the Target Center. And we talked about this last episode. Is this, if you are going to have Brock be a part of SummerSlam, even though that Minneapolis Raw, I think that's Raw they're going to be doing.
SmackDown.
Or is that a SmackDown? Okay.
See, that's where I'm
but the
wondering
TV, you're super, super close to SummerSlam, so it would be a little bit of a short notice, but is that where you bring Brock? Is that where because we know he doesn't like to travel.
No.
If he is going to travel, he doesn't mind going to Minneapolis.
Yeah, exactly.
He fucks heavy with Minneapolis.
Yes.
But other than that, you can find him on his farm in Manitoba.
Yeah, so, that would be the most likely thing. And, even if he does sign, he's only making a couple appearances. He's not showing up to the house shows. He's not hitting the road. It'd be one or two shows before SummerSlam, and that's probably what you're going to get him for. Yeah, with that being a SmackDown show, though, I'm trying to figure out, if him and Lashley are the plan. Are they going to have like a crossover thing? Because, Fox would love to have Lesnar on again.
Right.
They only had him on that debut episode when he squashed Kofi, and ever since, they haven't been able to have him on, which would help their ratings. Yeah. So, without Ross too, but I'm just saying. I
would imagine it would have to be at Lashley. It'd have to be on the Raw brand because as of right now, you want to keep him and Reigns as far apart from one another as possible.
Yes. Unless you have a superpowers faction with Heyman.
Or Heyman would bounce back and forth between both shows. He's got a guy ruling both brands. Absolutely. And then he's faced with a decision on whose corner he's in for Mania, because that's eventually going to be a Mania match.
If this was if this was 80s, early 90s storytelling, I would be very confident that they would achieve that, peak and plan. But since it's now, they'll probably, hot shot it in 2 weeks and say, oh, you guys are going at each other.
hopefully more updates on Brock here in the next couple of weeks. Update also WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling with their discussions and how it involves Daniel Bryan. Reports are that the two promotions, they definitely are talking. They're trying to work out maybe a working agreement. The latest development about the proposed exclusive deal would see NXT take center stage in those talks. Daniel Bryan has not been a part of those negotiations, or he was early on, but that's not been the case anymore.
Okay.
The reports, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, whichever one you want to call. The contract, he is 100% right now. He's a free agent. He has the ability to show up whenever and wherever he likes. So according to the Wrestler Observer newsletter, Danielson is no longer part of the talks at all. Deal between WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling has been attempted in the past. Nick Khan could be the X factor in the situation. Bryan Danielson, they said, absolutely part of the early talks. That has not been the case as far as the major aspect, and one source even said that he hasn't been a part of any of the recent talks. New Japan also is saying they're not going to be agreeing to any deal anytime soon unless they feel that it is extremely beneficial to them as well, on top of WWE, which we know they don't just work with anyone. They've got to have ulterior motives involved as well. New Japan's also that way too. They don't need WWE. So it's got to be something sweet for them. So Nick Khan, he's been the point man in these discussions apparently. There's that name again, Nick Khan.
I think with Daniel Bryan, I think he was there to just initiate, how these negotiations are. Saying, I'll come over and do some dates with you, but you got to talk to these guys too because I still want to, be with them a little bit. So I think he was just the point guy.
He's the guy that showed up to the cookout and just introduced one another. Shake hands.
Exactly.
All right, guys, I'm going to be over in the corner munching on these brats, munching on these ribs.
I know where
have at it.
Yep, I'll be at the beer cooler as well. I know where that is. You guys have a good time and talk. Or maybe it was the Tony Khan promo that they said, do we really want to work with this dipshit? Maybe we want to strike a deal with WWE.
CM Punk recently talked about why wrestling fans still watch WWE. In light of the latest round of WWE releases, John Squires of the horror website Bloody Disgusting tweeted that the company has consistently bummed him out over the last couple of years because they have some of the greatest talents in the world but don't understand how to use any of them. CM Punk saw the tweet and replied, giving his thoughts on exactly what is wrong with the current WWE product, and he didn't sugarcoat it at all. He said, quote, "It's like a movie with a blockbuster budget and cast, but if it's written by creatively bankrupt nincompoops, specifically for an audience of one, shots fired." Wish we had a sound effect for that. In a language nobody understands anymore, it's trash. But people watch it because they like movies, and then he gave a shrugging emoji. Well, based on the comments and based on what we've seen over the last 10 years, I think the pipe bomb looked pretty justified for its time. It's aged very well.
Yeah.
The product hasn't gotten any better since the pipe bomb that he cut.
No, and that's the funny thing is you thought, it did springboard Punk into, a megastar, but the truths that were in there it led to nowhere with the company and in development or anything like that. And he's right. He's absolutely right with the points. They have the best talent in the world. It's the writing team of 30 to 40 that just want to get the chuckle out of Vince or get the approval of the boss and the cronies around.
And they play it safe because they're public.
And play it safe. And that's why that's where they are right now. It's their lowest ratings of all time, all shows. And this is the proof.
Another person who had some pretty good points about the current product, I was going to save this for AEW, but I can talk about it now since we're already on it. John Moxley, he commented on how WWE handles main roster call-ups and if another Shield can be creative. He was in an interview with metro.co.uk. He was asked about it. He was asked if he thinks WWE can ever recapture the Shield's success in today's product. He pointed out that the emergence of NXT changes the equation compared to his days in FCW, but he said the most important ingredient, it remains the same. He said, quote, anything could work. I mean, it's different because you're a known commodity on NXT now. And we talked about that before. Everyone knows who they are by the time they get up to the main roster. Yeah. There's no surprise element to it anymore. You're not going to get that high initial pops like you used to.
No, not like back 5 years ago when you were just starting.
A 1 hour show on the streaming network.
Yep.
Yeah. He went on to say, you're a known commodity on NXT now, whereas when we came in, we were complete nobodies. Yep. So there's a benefit to that. On the one hand, nobody knows who you are, but on the other hand, you have a completely fresh slate. You're a complete mystery. You can come right in and start whooping whose ever ass you want. He also went on to say that the Shield might be the last big act that came from that old way of doing things before NXT. Really, you can do anything with anybody if you commit to them. The problem is it doesn't matter if they're on NXT. If people know who they are or they don't, if somebody's getting over, you're giving them the opportunity to get over. You've got to actually follow through on pushing a guy or gal. It doesn't really matter where they came from. That could definitely happen again. You just got to follow through with it all the way. Dude, it's been 9 years since the Shield debuted on the main roster. Think about that. I mean, those were 9 fast years.
Yeah, they were.
But the key, dude, seems to be quite simple. And it's never really changed. Straight out of the gate, a consistent, strong push.
Yes. And you have to go.
And you can't have them looking strong for 2 weeks and then they lose the damn pay-per-view match.
That's the thing. I was going to say, well, you got to make them go over. But with the Shield, they really didn't make them go over. They just crashed guys through fucking tables each time. I mean, I remember the Punk Rock match at Rumble where, lights went out. And all of a sudden, Rock's through a table. Shield put him through a table. Or
the debut with Ryback.
Yeah.
That was how,
So, I mean, they got over kind of in that way where it wasn't quite in the ring, but it was just beating the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
And like we've mentioned with Nexus, too. You got to go for that top star. But the top star is also going to have to lay down and at least give them a W to give them some heat and to continue the program. And we just don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and this was a team that the fans, and Moxley's right, no one, unless you were a die hard fan that was really paying attention to FCW.
Oh, yeah. No idea.
I mean, we knew of Seth Rollins as Tyler Black in Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. We knew of John Moxley, or we knew of Dean Ambrose as John Moxley, working around the independents, and we knew that Roman Reigns had lineage to the Samoan family.
Yeah, but they kind of hid that a little bit.
They hid that. We called them up. The crowd was into it, which made it mean a lot more when Rollins turned on the group.
Yeah,
because you didn't see it coming.
No, you didn't. Because you had the whole Batista Evolution comeback thing, and I always have a plan B.
And Evolution put him over, and Triple H set it up perfectly, and they hit it out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
And the company felt that those 3 guys were ready to go on their own, and they were.
Yeah, they were.
And they, I know that a lot of people seem to get stuck, and even I do sometimes when it comes to all-time great factions, and you definitely you look back and you remember the greats, growing up watching the product. We got to put the Shield up there too as far as greatest factions they've ever put together, because to me, I've always said a true faction, a true great faction is when you split them up. What do those individuals do on their own?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, they split them up. And ever since they did, I never one time, yes, you remember them being a part of the Shield, but they all amounted to something individually that we don't necessarily have to link them all the time to the Shield, unless those 3 are in the ring together. That's it.
Yeah, thinking about the factions, if you put them up there all time,
they're up there.
They got to be up there with NWO. I think they're above DX, and I was a big DX guy. And here's the thing. Like you said, all 3 guys were in that top picture. They were all main eventers after the group.
They all became champions.
All champions, all main eventers. As crazy it sounds, they are up there with the NWO because you had Hall, Nash, Hogan. Those were all top guys as well. I mean, they didn't give Hall a run with the belt.
But these are guys that were already established.
They were established.
DX started off with two guys who, for the most part, Michaels was definitely established and Triple H was on his way.
And I don't want to shit on Road Dogg
No.
Billy Gunn
They came
and
later.
X-Pac and all those guys.
They came later.
They're obviously awesome.
We had three guys, a part of developmental, that we brought in from the get-go. Yeah. We never added anyone to the group.
No.
We never did any of that. These three came in. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. I do it. Well, we did that one time.
but you get the drip. I mean, these were three guys. They got to rank up there as one of the top 3 to 5. You could make the argument it could be the best damn faction the company ever put together.
For you know what? I think for WWE, because again, NWO is a Bischoff WCW idea. You're right, for WWE.
It might be.
It might be. You can make the argument. Like I said, I loved DX growing up. I thought they were, Nation of Domination was very underrated too. But
they're one of the greatest all-time fans. Everyone went off to accomplish something. So yes, those are. But the Shield, I got to put them.
Shield,
I got to put all three guys were world champs. Absolutely. All right, Tom Phillips. He released a statement on his WWE release. He also talked a little bit about his future. We talked about Tom Phillips on the last episode of the Bush League Munch Show. He had been released back, or at least it was reported on May 27th that he had been released from the company. 9 years on the job. The company, this was a little strange, PJ, because the company never announced his departure, but Phillips finally confirmed the departure on Twitter. He gave thanks to everyone from top WWE officials, such as WWE Chairman, CEO Vince McMahon. Also gave some praise to Kevin Dunn, Triple H, Michael Cole. He also gave some praise to a lot of the coworkers, the Performance Center staff, the headquarters staff, the fans. He said pro wrestling will always hold a special place in his heart and to never say never when it comes to his future, adding that he's ready for the next chapter in his life. He's got plenty. He was one of their biggest jack of all trades. This guy did just about everything in the company as far as a commentary position. He came in around 2012. Did work. He was on NXT UK, 205 Live, main event. He did the Raw. He did the SmackDown. He had been hosting some YouTube and network shows. Was even doing some behind-the-scenes work for the company. He got replaced by the now also released Adnan Virk as the lead Raw announcer back on April 12th. And he talked about that, too. He said that came out of left field. So surprising. He said, he was...
Well, the whole Mania thing, too.
He knew of Adnan Virk. He talked about, Virk, not to age Virk, but he's like, remembered Adnan from Sports Center. And he said, he was curious of how it was going to work, being that Virk had not done professional wrestling. But it came out of left field. He had no idea that they were looking to replace him. And and then it didn't work out.
No. Yeah.
And we ended up getting Jimmy Page, who had some rave reviews from his first Raw. I know you definitely enjoyed it.
Jimmy Smith. It was really good so far, but back to Phillips, he'll be just fine. I mean, I'm sure a network or some kind of sports related studio show or maybe play-by-play or something along the lines of that will pick him up somewhere because, like we said too, he came from the Big Ten network too. So I mean, I think he'll be good. But wrestling wise, where did you see? I was half and half on him. Some days are good, some not so good.
I try to be fair with their announcers because...
Well, yeah, who's in your ear?
Who's in your ear and how they groom you to call matches the way that they want you to call them. Another person who was a part of some recent releases, Drake Wuertz, former referee. He opened up about his release. He was a guest on the Fireside Chat to discuss it, and he talked about his release from the company, which didn't come without its fair share of controversy. He had some extreme views on the COVID-19 outbreak and Black Lives Matter and everything else.
Sex trafficking.
Yes, and kids wearing face masks, all that, yes. He states that he was expecting to be released from the company, as his heart had, as he was quoted, as he said, his heart had not been in it for the past 6 months leading up to the release, and he didn't feel correct about the atmosphere. He adds WWE did allow him to at least say goodbye to some of the people that he was closest to. I'll give you those names in a second.
Yeah, I want to hear them.
Yes. He said, quote, "I was expecting it. My heart had not been in it for the past 6 months. It got to the point where I didn't feel right about the atmosphere, and I was just coming to work for the paycheck. When it gets to that point, it's time to step away. I went into work to go to Terry Taylor's class and was called into the office. Canyon Seaman?
Yep, sure.
Let me know I was being let go. It wasn't surprising. They let me go say goodbye to the coaches that I was the closest with, Terry Taylor and Matt Bloom. Bittersweet because I spent more time there than I did with my own family. It wasn't my performance. My performance never wavered, and the trust in the ring never wavered. I was frequently requested by top talent." He also said when the conversation, or at least when they start talking about his political beliefs, he said the locker room started viewing him differently right around the time of the election. He said, quote, "November, right around the election, it all started with woke cancel culture that just wants to attack people because they have views they don't agree with. It started specifically with me in WWE. It started was when David Bixenspan started attacking me. That's when the ball got rolling." He then shared the story of getting suspended by WWE for breaking the quarantine protocols. He said, quote, "A month before WrestleMania, I get a call from my department head, Scott Armstrong, who says, 'Somebody tested positive at work. We're asking everyone to quarantine.' I called him back and was like, 'I have stuff to do. I'm not sick. I tested negative. I haven't been around anyone.'
Right. He's one of these anti-maskers.
I told him I had church, the Walk for Life, and I coach my son's baseball team. Those responsibilities were more important to me than pleasing WWE. I told him, 'No, I'm not staying home.' I got a call saying, 'You're off TV for 2 weeks. You violated quarantine.' For going to church, they refused to answer. Despite his stance on the mask, Wuertz says that he is not anti-COVID, even revealing that he had contracted the virus himself during his time at WWE. He said, quote, "Of course I believe in COVID. My grandparents have both had it. I caught it for a little bit. A whole chunk of the roster caught it.
Doesn't that defeat his fucking thing before Mania when they had to close down half of NXT?
He said, "I didn't have any symptoms. The only reason I knew I had it is because they stick the stick up our noses twice a week."
Twice? Well, he's lucky it was only twice a week. Could have been every day. I mean... There
you go. I mean, he expected it.
Yeah.
So he knew that was a hill that he was willing to die on. And here's the thing. To me, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I've always said it doesn't matter what you believe in as long as it's not a detriment on my life.
Yes.
And in this case, with the pandemic, you got a combination of that. He was coming across like he didn't have a care for it.
Yeah.
Other views that he didn't seem to really have a care for, that kind of turned some people in the locker room. Like, what this came down to, the company is publicly traded.
Yes.
They're trying to constantly keep their image in the most positive of light, especially after all the years of, professional wrestlers on the roster passing away prematurely at young ages, steroid scandals, you name it. I mean, they face so much scrutiny over the years.
Yeah.
And then to make matters worse, this is a guy that was going on these video calls with his referee shirt on with the company's logo. You have to know that you're asking for it at that point.
Yeah, they let him stay around longer than I thought, especially, like you said, after that Zoom call at the county board meeting on a Tuesday night. And then there was the school board meeting that he missed a show. Because it was I think it was a Tuesday night, and he missed like one of the first Tuesday night shows because he went to show up at the school board meeting about their mask policy and harp on that. So the whole politics thing that's been going on in locker rooms for years, and people would argue their points and all that. And we've obviously had politician wrestlers and everything. Rhino, obviously, I think he's a state representative in Michigan. I mean, he's the guy, but not guys that are expounding their views and try to pressure everybody. But I guess, he lasted a whole hell of a lot longer than I thought he would.
Monday Night Raw. Memorial Day. Yep, still in Tampa. We ended up getting some matches. Well, let's just run down. This is going to be pretty much a rapid fire. The show started, of course, with a video package for Memorial Day.
Yep.
They also welcomed Adnan Virk's replacement, Jimmy Smith. The Miz, he made his return to Raw for an episode of Miz TV alongside John Morrison.
Wait a minute, he's alive?
He is alive.
Did he have bite marks or show any signs of he's a zombie?
They had a great job of covering up for the fact that from what was being reported, he tore his ACL. We had zombies take him off, and no, he was back to host his Miz TV. He admitted that he got injured in the lumberjack match at WrestleMania Backlash. Morrison says that he's wearing the garlic to be prepared for any other supernatural enemies that might attack, from aliens to vampires to plumbers. He has a water cannon that he calls the Drip Stick, and he and Miz, they affirmed their love for one another. The A-lister then went on to say that he had a epiphany, and he knew that he had to get back to Monday Night Raw before they go on the road in July. And then he proceeded to introduce his guest, Charlotte Flair, who came out. She says that Rhea Ripley has a good little story, but real life isn't a fairy tale, and sometimes dreams turn into nightmares, and in 3 weeks, she's going to send Rhea Ripley to hell, PJ.
All right, so that obviously is the women's match that's going to be in Hell in a Cell, or...
Yes. Yeah. This brought out Rhea Ripley, and they go back and forth, and then Nikki Cross then comes out. She was at least a little bit more considerate. She apologized for interrupting Miz TV because she's a big fan of the segment, but she couldn't wait any longer. She pointed out that she beat Ripley last week once again. Could you make Nikki Cross look like a loser any more than having her run around the damn ring, Bo Dallas style, celebrating because she lasted 2 minutes in a match in which she was getting the hell beat out of her?
But she lasted the 2 minutes.
There you go. Well,
that's where we're at.
Some men can't last that long, yeah, so I guess she's... Yeah, she pointed out that she beat Ripley. Ripley stands up, full height to intimidate her. Nikki continued, said she thinks that it would be fair if she got to be the first one to challenge the winner after Hell in a Cell. She didn't win any matches, remember that.
Yeah.
Flair says that if life was fair, she'd be the champ. Ripley says that if Cross got 4 minutes and not 2, she wouldn't be standing there. But they're cool. She earned Rhea's respect. Nikki thanks her and then tells Flair that she could beat her in 2 minutes. And then would she accept her challenge? Charlotte says that she could beat that Cross in 1 minute. Nikki proceeded to slap her. Flair accepted the match. Then we went to break and we came back, and then we had a 2-minute beat the clock challenge match because of course we would. It's Monday Night Raw where we just give you the same damn matches every week.
Yep.
Yes. This match, Nikki Cross once again came out victorious, not by pinfall, but by lasting 2 minutes in the ring with Charlotte Flair. Your thoughts, sir?
Last week with
2 weeks in a row. We just can't help it.
Yes.
3 hours to fill. Giving you leftovers, baby.
This women's division on Raw, I didn't realize that it was getting this week, I guess, or not to say Nikki Cross is weak or anything. I'm just, you're putting the two big star power names at it right now with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Where you go after that?
Yeah.
That's I can see why you're trying to build Nikki Cross up a little bit, but then until Becky Lynch can come back, then it's...
After that, we got a recap of RK Bro versus New Day. Over the last couple of weeks, Matt Riddle and Damian Priest, these guys actual friends from the beginning of Riddle's time in the business. They're backstage, they're chit-chatting, they're going back and forth, and Riddle proceeds to ask Priest to teach him some Spanish. Priest begins to do so until Randy Orton rolls up. Orton mentions the whole usage of the RKO to win the match against Xavier Woods the previous week. Riddle apologizes, saying that it came out of nowhere. Now, you would think that Randy Orton would be flattered by this, right? I mean, he's been hanging around Riddle, maybe the Viper rubbing off on Riddle, you would think, but Randy says that it impressed him, but there's still some stuff that he could work on, and they're going to be a tag team. If they're going to be a tag team, then they need to be on the same page. So apparently part of that is giving Randy a call in St. Louis to make sure that it's okay to use the move. Orton then invited Riddle to second him in his match later on that night. He accepted. We go back to another break, but not before the New Day made their entrance. We come back from the commercial, and we get a Randy Orton versus Xavier Woods match. Orton proceeds to win this match by pinfall with a tombstone pile driver.
The Bro Derek, that's it.
Riddle jumps in the ring, celebrates with Randy. We get a video package covering the women's tag team title stuff.
Okay.
Over the recent last couple of weeks, Shayna Baszler makes her entrance, and then we go to another break. All these damn breaks.
The entrance breaks is getting a little old with all of this.
Yeah. We come back from commercial. MVP Lashley. They get into the suite.
Well, the chicks in the ring, as my kids would say.
Nia Jax gives Reginald a pep talk in the gorilla position. He says he's going to be fine. Kisses her hand before asking her to watch the match from the gorilla position, because remember, we've got a Reginald versus Shayna Baszler match. Remember, we ended the previous Raw main event with a women's tag team title match, in which the blow-off, in which we were all trying to wonder, why is this the main event? Well, the blow-off was that Reginald was going to go up the ramp and fire was going to shoot out. And he was going to do an awful selling job, and Baszler, it was going to cost her the match, and she was going to challenge him to a match the following week on Raw. We got that match, and
what Papa Shango antics happened in this one?
Well, Reginald, he was ducking and dodging to start this match out. Baszler laid him out, finally with a lariat. Reginald with the schoolboy for the two. Shayna grabbed the arm, whip reverse, dropped down into the ropes. Reginald evades a forearm. Then he slammed her. Then he tried to apologize to her. That went nowhere. Going to work on the knee. I have here in my notes that blah, 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 because this match really didn't matter to me. He was mainly, was running away a majority of the time, and I'm cool. I get it. You weren't going to have the guy really get much offense in this match, but Reginald did win via a victory roll-up. So we got to have those.
Deadliest move in wrestling now.
Absolutely. We then move on from this match. We go backstage. Drew McIntyre, he's being interviewed. He says it's all about him and Kofi because they got a match for the number one contender for Hell in the Cell.
Oh, for the second week in a row.
Yeah, so, remember, because we went 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes of Raw the previous week between a segment where they're jaw-jacking, and then we had the match of McIntyre and Kofi, all the 45 minutes just to get a
no contest.
Yes. So he says that he respects Kofi very much. They've known each other for a very long time. And he says that everything that Kofi's got, he's earned. He said maybe 2 weeks ago, Kingston could have won on his own. Talks at length about the sacrifices that he's made, too, and the mentality that he's had to make for his name in the business. Extinction. Extinction is the team of Mason T-Bar. You knew that, right? That's what they're going by. They're going by the team of Extinction.
So now we're Extinction.
Yeah. They make their entrance, and then what do you think happened? Because, of course, people make their entrance on Monday Night Raw, and, of course, we go to what?
We got to get to a break.
We got to get to a break, baby. We get back from the commercial. Extinction, they get a promo. They paint themselves as predators and Lucha House Party as their prey. So this was our tag team match. Dorado and T-Bar, they start off the match. This continued to go on. Mace, he comes in, and they hit a version of the total elimination. Blah, 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 blah. Extinction, as expected, they win by pinfall with a sit-down double choke bomb. We then go to the playground. Alexa Bliss, she's there. She's swinging, and she's chatting with Lily about Reginald's big victory. She wants him to be on her show that night and formally invites him. Sheamus makes his entrance, PJ, and what happened after that?
Break.
We go to break. We come back from commercial. Sheamus gets on the mic, talks about its most recent victory. Says that he can't wait to go on the road and defend his title in every major city. Boy, are we leaning on this big time. We're pushing the hell out of this thing, aren't we?
You guys better show up and sell these damn arenas out.
Better. If I'm cutting, money. You know what? I got to say, if I'm cutting these promos on the company's behalf on live TV about how we can't wait to get back on the road, hopefully they don't cut my ass, because as we've seen with Braun Strowman, that's a possibility in this company too.
Exactly. You cut that promo and you're done.
He says there's a problem in WWE where nobody wants to lose like real men. Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo would rather embarrass him than embrace the honor in their defeat. And he wants to take a closer look at their lack of character from the previous week. After the footage, he says where he comes from, two fellas jumping one lad is scumbaggery. He asked which one. Yes, he asked which one of them wants to come out for the ass-kicking first. Ricochet ends up being the guy. We kick this match off the ropes. Ricochet kicks him in the face, dumps him to the floor, baseball slide. Sheamus sidesteps, scoops him up, fall away, slams him into the barricade, back inside of the ring, looking for white noise. Humberto Carrillo distracts him. Ricochet wins by pinfall. And what happened after that match, PJ?
Well, we have to get a break.
We got to get in that break, baby. We come back from the break, and we've got a Humberto Carrillo Sheamus match now, and the Celtic Warrior loses that one too. After that, we get another Eva Marie vignette, in which, by the way, she claims that she will be coming back wrestling.
No.
That's what she said.
No.
All right. Lana and Naomi, they make an entrance. PJ.
We got to get some spots in.
Yes, we come back from that.
1-800-COLLECT money.
And we get a matchup of Lana and Naomi versus the Sexy Muscle Friends, as Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose are now being referred to as. Natalya and Tamina, they're on commentary for this one, sir. Lana and Brooke, they start this thing off the ropes. We get a leg drop off the blind tag, but Dana kicks out. Quick tag. Brooke counters, wheelbarrow into a face buster. Tag in comes Mandy Rose. Mandy with a waist lock takeover, whip to the corner. Naomi, she hammers her with a forearm, and it follows with a fireman's carry jawbreaker. No, we ain't getting no 1, 2, 3 out of that either. Lana, she's the legal person. Yes, that Lana, who's now been recently released. She kicks out of a O'Connor roll. Folding press for 2. Jackknife pin, no good. Backslide denied. Whip to the corner. Brooke and Rose, they overwhelm her. They get a double team. Yeah. Sexy Muscle Friends, cut all this verbiage out, all this lip service. Sexy Muscle Friends, they win by pinfall. Lana ate the pin, and she ate the release that next day.
Jesus. Sexy.
Or at least 2 days after. All right, moving on. Shelton Benjamin makes an entrance. PJ.
We got to get to break.
Yeah, baby. Back from commercial, we get footage of Bad Bunny talking about his love for pro wrestling.
Oh, from the shop promo for him and Braun.
Then we get a matchup once again because it's Monday Night Raw. We got to regurgitate the same shit every single week. Cedric Alexander versus Shelton Benjamin. Start off hot. Alexander slips out of a powerbomb attempt with the thumb to the eye. Spikes him with a neuralizer. Cedric Alexander winning this by pinfall. Backstage, Elias talking to Jackson Riker about the huge opportunity that they have later on that night and impressing the importance of winning on him and need to develop a game plan against Omos. Riker stares stock ahead and gives him a line about having a snake on his back. PJ.
We got to go to break.
We go to break. We come back from break. Kofi Kingston in an interview backstage. He rebuts Drew McIntyre's promo, saying his connection to his family and friends is why he's able to achieve his success. And he doesn't know why Drew thinks that he can take these cheap shots. He knows what happened between Brock Lesnar and him. Everybody does, but you want to sit here and take cheap shots. Let's recall what happened right here on Raw 2 weeks ago when he pinned Bobby Lashley, a thing that McIntyre has not yet been able to do the last 3 months. So then we get our match, and we got the champions of AJ Styles and Omos taking on Elias and Jackson Riker. This is a title match, too, by the way.
Yeah, we've already screwed their booking up.
Yeah, Styles and Elias, they start out. AJ out of the corner, forearm stomps, snap suplex, cover for the one. Elias drops knee across the face, off the ropes. Riker tags in. The drifter, he gets a little surprised. That gives Styles a chance to capitalize. Whip reverse, slide under. AJ picks Elias off the apron, goes back inside, cuts Jackson Riker off, drops both men with a drop kick through the ropes. PJ,
we got to get the break.
yeah, because we're on the outside. We come back from commercial. Riker suplexes Styles for the two. Reverse chin lock applied, guiding AJ down. Styles gets away and hits the Pele kick for some separation. Paths clear, crawling for tags. Elias abandons Riker. Omos is legal, stalking Jackson from behind. The Iron Claw comes into play.
Right.
He throws Riker into the turnbuckles, hammers him with an elbow. Elias is leaving. Omos with another big elbow, jawing at Riker, drawing him up for a short arm lariat. Tag the AJ. Lying in, we get AJ Omos. Let's just cut that verbiage out. AJ Omos, they win. Phenomenal forearm to retain the tag team titles there.
And their baby faces already.
Yes, even though we didn't really explain or lead anything up to why these guys are. All right, backstage, Reginald, he limps with his knee all bandaged up. Nia Jax approaches him. She says he's proven that he can handle himself. He had a match with a female.
He can handle himself.
He can handle himself. But does he really want to accept an invitation to Alexa's playground is what Nia Jax asked him. He asked what could possibly happen. She says she's weird. He reassures her and says that she'll put champagne on ice for them to celebrate later and take care of himself. We then see Alexa Bliss backstage. PJ,
we got to get to break.
Come back from the commercial. Elias, he's walking backstage. He runs into an interview. He talks. He says that he abandoned Jackson Riker because he's become unhinged and unpredictable. And that worries him. The idea of spending time with Riker makes him sick, and he doesn't want him around anymore. So just like that, they finally got a tag team title opportunity. They lost once. Lost. This is Monday Night Raw, where you're at least guaranteed 3, 4, 9, 12, 20 rematches.
Yeah, in consecutive weeks. You would have got another one next
week. It ain't worth the headache.
So now
maybe there is truth to them. Maybe pushing Jackson Riker to give him a run at Lashley down the road. Who knows?
There might be. This is why we're going over the recaps, because just watching this, it's mind-numbing.
Alexa Bliss welcomes us to the Alexa playground, tells us that Lily gets very impatient when she gets excited. She introduces Reginald and bids him to make himself more comfortable. She congratulated him on his win over Baszler earlier, asked him how he felt. And, Bliss proceeded to, after asking him questions, she cut him off and said Lily had a question. And then we just sat there with some awkward moments of silence, and Reginald didn't know what to do. And Bliss then proceeded to tell Reginald, please don't be rude, to answer the question. Then she realized, hey, no one can hear the fucking doll but me.
What I'm waiting for with the swing set, you know what that's bringing me back, is the mid-'90s wrestling, and where the fuck's Waylon Mercy going to pop out of?
Oh, Dan Spivey.
Remember Dan Spivey, Waylon Mercy had the creepy-ass promos by the swing set on the playground? That's all they're missing with this horse shit.
Anyways, to end this shit, because I'm tired of talking about it, Baszler comes into the picture. She attacks Reginald. Then she gets on the swing. They start chatting. She called Bliss's Lily doll stupid, which did not make Bliss feel very well. Anyways, Baszler called the doll stupid, left. The Viking Raiders, they were giving Mansoor a pep talk about what it's like to be touring live. Because remember, Mansoor was not working the sweet Saudi money shows in front of 60,000 plus people.
The pep talk was, we're not in Saudi. You're not going over. You're getting beat on the road. That's what it was. I mean, if this was AEW rankings, he'd have a championship match in Saudi by now. He's undefeated.
Oh my gosh!
But not in the States here. Maybe that pep talk was like, yeah, you're gonna be taking some losses here, kid.
They told him that he needs a chant or a war cry to get the crowd behind him.
Yeah.
They get him to try the word raid. And he does, and they like it, and they welcome him to Raw. They leave, and then he turns around to see Mustafa Ali.
So he needs so he's have the Tatanka theme song coming out from now on.
Mustafa Ali tells Mansoor to be careful making friends because everybody wants to stab him in the back, and he shouldn't trust anyone. Mansoor asks why he should trust him, and then Ali proceeds to slap him on the shoulder and tell him he's getting it. We see Drew McIntyre, Kofi backstage ahead of their match. PJ, we
gotta get the break.
We come back from commercial. We see MVP Bobby Lashley and the entourage, as we're calling the ladies.
Okay.
They're partying backstage when the interview rolls up. He asks if they have a preference. They get asked if they have a preference who wins that night. MVP says they're excited to find out who's going to lose to Bobby at Hell in a Cell. But he wants to focus on the positive. And if they respect both men and their stories, but they don't respect them as opponents. Tonight they party. But at Hell in a Cell, nothing can be done to end the almighty era. We get to the match, and I really don't even feel like, well, fuck it, why not? Because we got to let PJ say his line here in about 20 seconds. McIntyre right in, taking Kofi to the corner, hammering him with strikes, whip across Kingston. Wants a crucifix, but Drew blocks it. Sunset flip works, no dice. We get a pin, still no. McIntyre chops him down, tries to dump him, but Kofi reverses, hits him with the trust fall, senton to the floor. To do what, PJ?
Goddamn, pal, we got to go to break.
Back from the commercial, McIntyre with a delayed vertical suplex, only a 2. Yada, yada, yada. We even got a Vader bomb in this match, by the way. There's still no 3 count on it. We're going to continue to, you know what?
This is such a shame because these are two great performers.
I'm just so tired of talking about this awful show. This was actually a good match. Yeah. This was actually a good match. I'm just going to tell you who won. Drew McIntyre wins by pinfall with a Claymore. He becomes the number 1 contender for WWE Championship against Bobby Lashley. They're going to get it on at Hell in a Cell. There you go.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that was so damn predictable. It just, once again, Kofi gets used, and where does he go from here? Well, who knows? They'll probably go back to
toss pancakes.
Tag team, Bootio cereals in the crowd and all this other crap going on, and so Drew will lose this match, and then we'll get him. That's the thing. I like McIntyre, but I think they've overexposed him in this year, and the problem is he didn't really get to enjoy a run with live crowds.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of the problem here.
WWE SmackDown. Let's go ahead and run through this.
A much better show, by the way.
Yes, this was a much better show. Let's give you some highlights about what happened on this show. We had Otis attacking the Street Profits for turning down some training from Chad Gable earlier in the night. The Profits later told Otis and Gable to be ready because they would be coming for them. So Otis generated some smoke for both he and Chad Gable. Yep. Yeah. I'm actually excited for the match. It's fresh. It's
new. They did a good job with the segments backstage. They weren't too cheesy. I know Gable with the coach segment talk, but they were doing some good back and forth. And, two good teams should be pretty good.
So Bush League Mud Show, Slade and PJ still on WWE. We are wrapping up the WWE portion part by giving you a brisk run-through of SmackDown. Apollo Crews, the Intercontinental title, that was on the line. He took on Kevin Owens, beat him by pinfall to retain the title. Commander Aziz attacked Owens backstage. So Owens was already pretty banged up coming into this match, overcoming the fact that Aziz had been banned from ringside.
Yeah.
And Cruz, he dominated much of the match on Owens. Cruz, he survived a late Owens flurry to hit a Death Valley driver on the ring apron to score the win. After the match, because of course we can't keep these two away from one another, Sami Zayn comes into the ring and attacks Owens, saying that it was karma. We also had King Corbin and Shinsuke Nakamura in competition. Because we just can't have this crown on a pole match for pay-per-view.
I know it's hokey.
Yes.
And I agree with the King gimmick is overdone. But the Boggs and Nakamura thing, it's on me. It's growing on me more and more.
Here's the issue.
It's just so damn goofy.
Based on what you've told me and what other people have told me, this feud, unfortunately, between Corbin and Nakamura, it's taken a backseat to Rick Boggs.
Exactly.
Rick Boggs is the one getting over more.
Yes. It's us.
Maybe at the end of this whole damn thing, Rick Boggs is the one that gets the crown.
Well, he was a 24/7 champion in an Old Spice commercial.
There you go.
I think he's got that.
Corbin defeated Nakamura via pinfall. There's that 50-50 booking, baby. Want to take a wild guess of how Corbin won this match?
That killer roll-up.
That killer victory roll-up. After the match, Corbin tried to steal back his crown, but Rick Boggs cut Corbin off, which allowed Nakamura to take him down and leave the crown once again. And Bianca Belair issued a challenge to Bayley after cutting an in-ring promo. Bayley appeared on the Titantron, accepting the challenge for Hell in a Cell before breaking into laughter and her face appearing on all of the Thunderdome screens.
Yes, you saw the Bayley thing tonight, and you cannot wait for the Thunderdome to be destroyed. Yeah. They did the multiple screen thing, and it's like, oh my God.
We had in action Liv Morgan taking on Carmella. We had this was heavy with the Carmella mayonnaise on. I mean, it was thick. She cut a promo.
Yep.
We had the entrance. I mean, we're still making her look like she is a top female talent star in this company, but she continues to lose. Yep. Well, she got her victory against Liv Morgan via the submission with the Code of Silence. Mm-hmm. We also had Seth Rollins backstage with an interview. He refused to answer any questions and ended the segment by removing his microphone when asked repeatedly about his assault on Cesaro and whether he was worried if Cesaro would be seeking revenge.
And another great suit too. He's really doing the suit gimmick well. I like the just out there suits he's fighting.
Yes. We had little shades of Raw on this show because we kicked off how it should be kicked off every Friday until further notice. Yeah. Roman Reigns, he opened the show with an in-ring promo. He said that he took Paul Heyman's advice and changed his mind about the Usos challenging for the tag team titles. He did, however, say that if Jimmy Uso vowed he and Jay would win, they better win. After calling the Usos to the ring, Reigns told them to win and bring him the titles.
Yeah.
Not wear them, not bring it to the family. No, bring him the titles when they're done. So we kicked SmackDown off with a tag team championship match between the champions, the Mysterios versus the Usos. This match ended with the Mysterios winning the match.
Controversially.
Yes, there was a 3 count. McAfee was all over this. Yes, he called it Bush League.
Yes, he did.
Gave us a little shout out. After the expected back and forth action, it seemed that the Usos, that they had the match in hand. Jimmy hit Dominic with the super kick. Went to the top rope for the splash. Dominic got his knees up. Dominic turned that into the pin. The referee missed Jimmy getting the shoulders up before the 3 count. So the camera cut to the back. Furious Reigns backstage after the loss. After the match, Reigns said that they had embarrassed the family after calling their shot. And if they needed to get another shot at the belts and correct the mistake before the show was over for us. So this is where the Shades of Raw comes in.
Yes.
Yeah, they get another title shot at the Mysterios.
But with Reigns, though, I give him a pass. I give this program a pass more than Raw.
Oh, gosh, it was both matches were great.
This angle, too, even though it was a repetitive thing, at the end of the show, it was that Godfather kind of thing. Like, no, you're going to fucking do this now, and you're going to bring them back to me now. I mean, just the way they cut that was great.
Adam Pearce, he reviewed the footage. He agreed that the ref had made an error. He granted the Usos their rematch for that night's main event. Action was picking up in the main events. We move on into it. Reigns runs in, hits the Mysterios with a Superman punch to draw the DQ. Reigns then continued attacking the Mysterios after the match was over, using the ring steps on both men in his assault. Reigns isolated Dominic, locked him in the guillotine chokehold as Jimmy told Reigns that was enough. Jimmy tried to get Jay to leave the ring with him, saying, "Not like this." Jay remained in the ring watching as Reigns continued the attack, powerbombing Dominic as the show went off the air. So we're clearly heading towards a split of the Usos. Jay is caught in the middle of this. There will be we've already had a Roman Jay match to get Jay's mind right 6 months ago. Well, maybe it's that time for a Reigns-Jimmy match to do the same.
It has to be at Hell in the Cell because I'm thinking, well, Reigns has got no one lined up right now, so I guess they're turning Jimmy quick at him, and that's probably your matchup here. Those
are your shows for the week between Raw and SmackDown. Can we move away from WWE, please?
Yes.
All right, AEW. All Out. It has been announced it's going to be back in the Windy City, or being I'm from there, Hoffman Estates, which is in the far suburbs, going west on I-90. AEW All Out, the pay-per-view, being advertised for used to be the Sears Center. I still like to call it the Sears Center, but it is now the Now Arena in Hoffman Estates. That's going to be Sunday, September 5th. Which is going to be the day before Labor Day
weekend.
Okay, same venue. They got some history there. Same venue that hosted the All-In pay-per-views in both 18 and 19, which was the 19. That was the first official pay-per-view under the AEW name, if you remember. No word yet on the main event for the 2021. I've got some ideas of what they could be going for, but Tony Khan, AEW president, he did confirm that a women's casino battle royale will be held at the event.
Oh, God. Did we ask for that?
No, but Tony's going to give it to us.
Are we going to have at least 3 women that can work in that match?
Now with the All-In events going down on September 5th, there have been questions about whether any of the recently released WWE main roster talent, if they will be able to appear at either AEW or Impact pay-per-view events. Well, according to a report by Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com, the answer is no. Now, it's a little confusing, but I'll give you what Johnson wrote, because these dates are a little thrown off between what Johnson's reporting and what the talent is reporting based on the day that they were released. Johnson wrote that we are told that all non-competes land around September 6th through the 10th, so it's a no. Now, the timing, it's interesting because 30 days from June 2nd would actually put those non-competes at August 31st.
Yeah, it would, but I wonder if there's also a thing where you can't appear at so-and-so's next big show within this time
because
span.
that's 30 days. Now, 90 days would put us at 3 months. That would put you at September 2nd.
Yeah. Well, see, the 90 days.
And Aleister Black talked about that on the Twitch. He said September 2nd, so looks like 90 days for him.
So, maybe they can appear, but that's the problem. They don't have any they wouldn't have nothing built up. Well, not that would stop them for anything, but there would be, I guess, the purpose of trying to find them something to do on that show besides being a commentator. They just have done a horseshit job so far bringing these ex-WWE people in.
Well, the news of releases came, and of course, AEW, they'd be crazy to not be interested in a few of the names on the list. The thing is, I guess, is am I excited with possibility of any of them landing in AEW? And right now, I just think the roster is so jam-packed. Creatively, what do you do even if you did get an Aleister Black? Or Tommy End now, or if you got a Braun Strowman. Strowman's saying after WWE, he was saying he's just done with wrestling, right?
Yeah,
so you would need a big payoff a big payoff to bring Strowman in, but you just can't bring Strowman in for a one-off. You got to have something planned for him. You're bringing in more and more big guys. We're already not doing enough with a Brian Cage, a Will Hobbs, a Lance Archer. We don't know what the plans are for Big Show and Mark Henry. I imagine at some point they're going to work a match.
Really?
I believe so.
Well, Big Show, I could see. Mark, I know he said he wanted to get back in the ring, but I don't know if I want to see that.
It'd be a big deal if AEW could land some. Well, now I am expecting Lana to be there at some point.
I think if Ruby Riott went there, she would be an instant star.
Absolutely.
Obviously there, she could challenge Britt Baker for that title.
And she could work.
She could work. She would be huge. I think out of all of those, I think Ruby Riott's the one they should target. They've got to help that women's division.
Now, the good news in all of this is that these releases, the talent will likely be available right after the pay-per-view. So just in time for at least for that first Dynamite after All In.
Yeah, that would be key.
The new show, Rampage, will already be running by then.
But like you said, though, they already have a massive roster as it is. When do they have to? I know Khan's got all the money in the world, but when do they start thinking we might have to trim some spots here? And, I think there was Awesome Khan was officially let go this week on the AEW side, even though we haven't seen her in a year and a half or whatnot. They let that contract run out. They're going to face the WWE problem too. Is we've got too many people and nowhere to put them. I mean, even when they do go out on the road. Right now, their model is just to do the Dynamite, it looks like. Maybe they do the Rampage show. I'm not sure. But it sounds like when they do these live shows, they'll do some tapings, but it's not going to be like your typical house show circuit used to be in the old days where, you can have a roster this big and just send them out all over the work.
Yeah. With Dynamite, this is... It's been an adjustment the last couple of weeks thanks to the NBA playoffs, but TNT, they've had coverage of that for many years. So, of course, when you're coming in, when you're the fresh new baby face on the network, you got to take a back seat if that, if NBA playoffs, if that falls into what your time slot usually is, then that's going to become the priority. So, another Friday night show for AEW Dynamite. This one here kicked off, and this was really important. We talked about this, that being you were going to be on a Friday night, and there was NBA playoff action, which there actually was not on TNT, actually. ESPN got the game.
Yeah, they got the game, but they had to take the slot because they had the
flex option or
the Wednesday. Well, the Wednesday game, I think, was Knicks Hawks, I think. So
yes.
I think they had that game already. But, yeah, I think if there was another game, extended game series, that would have been before this. Yeah.
Right. So damage had been done.
Yeah.
Friday night, and you're kicking off around 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 Eastern. You got to kick it off with a solid match. It's going to lock people in. And they gave you Death Triangle, a team of Pac and Penta El Cerro versus the Young Bucks. Frankie Kazarian, he attacked Michael Nakazawa.
The Elite Hunter.
Yes, he's being called the Elite Hunter. Yes, Kazarian, he attacked Nakazawa during the entrances, and the Good Brothers then ran him off. Death Triangle, they booted the Bucks off the apron. They followed it up with a stereo tope, Congiros, back and forth on the floor. No bell yet. Finally, we get in the bell. We finally start the match between Pac and Matt.
And don't worry, they didn't follow any other rules, so why the hell they even start the bell, I don't know why.
Yeah, this match, they went back and forth, but the Bucks prevail by pinfall with a folding press from Nick Jackson on Pac.
Yes.
Post-match, it's over. The Bucks, they attack Penta. He tore at his mask before setting up the BTE trigger. That's where Eddie Kingston makes the save.
Yes.
And then commentary informed us that we would be hearing from the world's strongest man who made his debut at AEW Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Mark Henry. After that announcement, PJ,
we got to get to break.
Got the break. We came back from break. Tony Schiavone, he's already in the ring. He introduces the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. He says he's not here to fix AEW because it's not broken. He's just here to turn the screws. Tony asked him if he's going to wrestle again. He says as of right now he's not going to say yes, but in Mark Henry fashion, he said that he's got a lot left in the tank, as he actually had on a salmon-colored T-shirt underneath his coat, his jacket. Right. We got that, and that was actually solid. The crowd was into it, and then Vicky Guerrero hits her "excuse me." Yeah. And this was a little weird because Vicky came into the ring and shooed off Henry and Shivani. I thought this was going to set up maybe some pleasantries, being that Vicky knows Mark very well. No, she just told both grown-ass men to get the hell out of her ring, and they did.
Yeah. Which this is not the way to introduce a new talent, as you're going to lead into it. This segment was, I called it. It was just dry, and
it had nothing to do with the people involved. No. It was just the way that this thing was shot and set up. Yeah. Vicky said that she was there to introduce a man who had won championships all around the world, a third-generation wrestler, and that he was here. Who was here? Well, Andrade. And then we just got some silence. The crowd didn't really know. In the commentary team between Excalibur and Jim Ross, they were trying to cover up for the lack of enthusiasm from the crowd, because the crowd didn't really know where. There was no music that was hit. There was no one's down on the floor. There's no producer, I'm sure, to probably give them cues to say, get hyped, get excited. Yeah. Well, there was nothing. Out comes Andrade.
Yeah, it was. What you're going for a big pop, which we thought would have been with this, with your idea of him actually being in the Battle Royal match, which on hindsight they should have done that instead of this horseshit tonight. It was terrible.
He comes out. It was just very lukewarm. I thought that was a poor job on AEW to at least coach the crowd a little bit to kind of. I mean, you're shooting television. This is pre-recorded.
Yeah, it was.
And then he gets in the ring and he gets on the mic, and I'm saying, this is what we start doing in WWE. Yeah. We had Selena Vega coming out with him, and then eventually starts cutting his own promos. Well, it defeats the purpose of Vega coming out with him. Well, it defeated the purpose of Vicky being out there to introduce him. Yes. He just could have showed up and took the mic on his own and cut his promo. He said that, he's the face of the Latinos, but today he's saying that he will be the new face of All Elite Wrestling, in which I asked, does he have a contract?
Probably not.
And we know why he's there. He's there to eventually, I'm sure, hype up the Triple Mania match between he and Kenny Omega, but he makes no mention of it.
Yeah, that was the strange thing. Obviously, and with the contract thing, you're right, because that match is what, in mid-June or is it late June?
July.
Or July, okay. So it's coming up next month or so. This could be another one of those Zack Ryder 5-match, or Matt Cardona 5-match deal, or just 5-appearance deal, and you're out. Or it could be Jeff Cobb, 2 weeks.
Andrade cuts his promo, PJ.
We got to get to break.
We come back from break. We get a matchup. Nightmare Family, the team of Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson, versus the Factory team of Anthony Ogogo and QT Marshall. This match went back and forth. Johnson, he took Marshall out with a lariat. He was all fired up.
Do we give a crap anymore about this, though? This program. I know at Devil or Nothing, it was a great match between Ogogo and Cody Rhodes, but now you throw all this factors into it again. This is WWE. We don't want to see this.
Well, you're going to like this because you're going to get some PT here in about 15 seconds. QT passed him on the floor. We had a Go-Go stomping out Lee to the floor, back inside. The Factory worked Johnson over. And PJ,
we got to get to break.
We go to break. We come back from break. Johnson created some separation, made the tag. Finally, Rhodes immediately starts brawling with Marshall on the ramp, returning him to the ring. Neck breaker drop, vertical suplex, corner punches into the monkey flip.
Let me guess, there was a roll-up here.
Well, no, there was not quite.
Okay.
There was a kick to the midsection.
All right.
Drop down slap in Rhodes fashion. QT with the back suplex. Rhodes lands on the feet, kicks a go-go off the apron. Snap, scoop, power slam on Marshall. Figure four gets applied in the middle of the ring. Ogogo hits the ring, breaks it up with a frog splash. We got Anthony Ogogo now doing frog splashes.
Yeah, he did it at the pay-per-view.
QT then proceeds to hit the diamond cutter. Lee Johnson breaks it up with a dive. So we had 2 finishing moves that were thrown on this team, and we still didn't get a 3 count. Anthony and Lee, they spill out to the floor. Cody, he's dazed. He finally gets up to his feet. QT is right behind him. They trade some right hands. And we had Aaron Solo running some interference. Ogogo gets a cheap shot and the factory win by pinfall with a lateral press from QT Marshall on Cody Rhodes. After the match, QT cuts a promo. He gets on the mic and says that he told us all that he could do it, and he did it. Well, I would imagine, PJ, that you can win a match, being that you are known to be the main trainer for the AEW roster.
Yes, you're the guy that's down there with them.
If you can't win matches, then you can't train me.
Yeah, you were the guy mysteriously down at ringside for the Shaq Jade Cargill match. Yeah, you're the head guy. They're going to come to you for all that.
We then got a recap of the Stadium Stampede, and the Inner Circle made their entrance. Jericho gets on the mic, thanked everyone for their support before informing them that the whole crowd is getting a Stadium Stampede T-shirt for free on the house. So how many fans do we have at Double or Nothing? Are these leftovers that did not get sold, or
I don't know, because,
not trying to shit on it, but...
Well, no, later on in the show, Britt Baker said she was going to give away 1,500 burger coupons.
Yeah, so we'll get more on that here in a second.
So the crowd size for this taping, I think, was in the 1,500 ballpark.
The reason that the Inner Circle is together and here tonight, as Jericho said, it was because of Sammy Guevara, he said. And Sammy takes a moment to shine, gets a nice little pop from the crowd. Santana asks what they really accomplished aside from keeping their crew together, because they still have to deal with the Pinnacle. He said the real accomplishment would be leaving them lying in a ditch on the side of the I-95 somewhere.
All right. We're killing people.
Jake Hager tells them to man up. Well, remember, FTR said they were willing to die for the Pinnacle, even though they had just gotten together for 2 weeks. Remember? Going into blood and guts.
Yes,
said he was willing to die for his homies.
Yeah.
Jake Hager told them to man up and take their ass whippings again until they say that it's over. And he's going to pull Wardlow's man card. I have no idea what that was supposed to mean. He clarified, challenged Wardlow to an MMA cage fight in 2 weeks. Jericho said that he gets pissed off when he thinks about MJF, and Sammy must feel the same. But the difference...
Yeah, you missed a great part in this promo, and I'm being sarcastic, where Jericho felt his life was in danger when he fell off of that cage. He wakes up every day in fear of that, thinking of that fall onto that pillow top stage.
He said the difference is Friedman tried to end his career and possibly his life.
Yes.
That's what I have here in the notes.
Yes.
And that he's never been the same since.
Nope, never. Nope.
And because of that, Jericho says that he must settle the score. And nothing they've done has been enough. Not until he ruins MJF's career and life the way that he tried to ruin his. So MJF called him the GOAT, and if he's as good as he thinks he is, if he's going to build AEW into the greatest wrestling company in the world, he must and will, and is going to beat MJF. The Inner Circle never forgives and never forgets. PJ, after this...
Picture in picture.
Yeah, we go to a break. We come back. We get a best friends vignette where they accuse Kenny Omega of cheating Orange Cassidy out of the victory and promise that it is not over. Now we cut to the back. We cut into a production room. We cut the Callis and Omega.
Yeah. What I'll say about them the last couple weeks, Don Callis is growing on me. I like him on...
I like this Omega as an obnoxious heel.
Yes.
In a suit.
It is, yeah. It's starting to go. I like Callis, especially, too, on commentary. This is starting to grow on me a little bit.
Yeah, we cut to those two. They're editing a highlight package. And we've got...
That's right.
Sorry, who's there? Alex.
Marvez
rolls up for the interview. They blow off the best friend stuff after being asked about it. They suggest that Jungle Boy didn't really earn his title shot and that he's no Jungle Man or Jungle Champion. But Omega said that he's a fun guy to cheer for, and Kenny loves his music. And look, this is a great segment until they start singing the damn song.
Yeah. When they went into that, it's like,
Yeah, we then cut to the ring where Jungle Boy is coming out to his theme music. And we do that because we got a tag team match. It's he and Christian Cage taking on the team of Private Party, who came out with Matt Hardy looking like the sexy Baron Corbin waiters.
Yes.
And I asked you if this is what they're working in now. I was more impressed. They were flying around the ring. I was more concerned about the shirts being untucked.
Yeah,
but they stayed tucked the entire match.
They tucked those bad boys in. They had the belts. I thought the belts are coming off to be used in the match. Nope.
Yeah, we got some back and forth going on in this match. It escalated. Referee Aubrey Edwards, she got distracted just like all AEW refs do. Quinn got in a cheap shot, and then PJ, we
went to break.
Yeah, we came back from commercial. Private Party, they were still in control, and they were working on Christian Cage. A little 5-second pose action, stomping away, more mockery. Christian dropped him with a double inverted DDT. Well, Jungle Boy, he got the hot tag, gave some elbows to both Quinn, or both Private Party members.
Yeah.
Even hit a brain buster on Mark Quinn. Wasn't enough to get a 3 count. Tornado DDT follows, still no. Match breaks down. Cassidy sidesteps a plancha. Christian goes sprawling. Mark with a thumb to the eyes. Schoolboy with a handful of tights. Jungle Boy kicks out.
I thought that was the end there because there was the Schoolboy roll up.
Well, we got the gin and juice also blocked. Perry with a tombstone out of the corner. Snare trap. There you go. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. They win by submission with the snare trap from Jungle Boy on Mark Quinn. Post-match,
of course,
we get Matt Hardy coming out, hitting the Twist of Fate on Christian on the ramp. Jungle Boy runs him off.
So we're going back to old WWE angles.
We then go to a video package from Team Taz over the events at Double or Nothing. This show, basically, Brian Cage, in a very slow manner, slowly but eventually, surely turning on Team Taz. We then cut Taz challenging Hangman to a tag team match, a partner of his choice against Brian Cage and the powerhouse Will Hobbs. Now, during this entire backstage promo that Taz cut, we had Hook and Cage locking eyes.
Yeah, locking eyes.
Staring each other down. I couldn't get into this. Why?
No.
Because I've never seen Hook work. And if he is a worker, I could never believe that he has a chance in hell against Brian Cage. But then I remember Tessa Blanchard once beat Brian Cage clean.
With a Canadian Destroyer.
So anything can happen in professional wrestling. So
and you had Ricky Starks to leave the interview as well. He was sitting there and then he just got pissed and he just left.
Yes, he walks off.
So again, this Taz freaking group is just it's annoyingly bad right now.
Tony Schiavone then introduced Darby Allin and Sting to the ring. Sting takes the mic.
And talk about
Tony.
Awkward segments, too, because this one, as you're leading into, this was up there with the Guerrero one.
Yeah, Sting took the mic, said that he's had many incredible experiences in wrestling, but Double or Nothing will be a night that he never, ever forgets. And he says that it stands up to anything that he's ever done in the business. Anything. Think about Sting's career and the good things that he's done.
Those WCW championship runs and Shockmaster.
Yeah, he thanked everyone, got a little pop from the fans with the corny "you still got it" BS.
Yes.
Scorpio Sky then popped up, slow clapping from the Tron with all ego Ethan Page right behind him. Sky congratulated him and said that he knows why they call him the Icon now. Even though you just said a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite that you grew up looking up to Sting. So I would imagine that you already knew. Anyways, he even said that this was a little awkward. Said that he looked great in the match and even smelled good.
Yeah, he smelled like
Abercrombie.
And it's like, what the hell? I mean, this is supposed to be a heel promo, and they're getting no heat.
They've already been beaten.
They've been beaten. They were chasing after Darby to begin with.
And then Darby lost the TNT title, so they lost all their heat.
All the heat in this program.
Everyone knowing that they were going to lose this match.
Yeah. And all this was to do was just say, hey, Sting wrestled for the first time in 6 years. I mean, that was the only point of this damn interview.
Yeah, Sky said Sting was so good that he even dragged Darby Allin over the finish line. And Paige said that if it wasn't for Sting, Darby would still be laying in the crowd where they threw him. And said that Sting has been carrying Darby during his whole run in AEW. Never mind the fact that Darby was already a mover and a shaker the 18 months prior to Sting showing up. Mm-hmm. Okay, never mind that.
Yeah.
He called Allen a spineless, codependent bitch, and Scorpio challenged Darby to go find a tag team partner that isn't Sting to prove them wrong. So wait a second. So you want Darby to prove that he's not spineless and that he doesn't need anyone, but you tell him to go pick a partner.
Well, here's the deal. In Sting's contract, he can only wrestle or be in cinematic matches like 3 times a year. They've already burned that baby twice this year, so that's why you got to find someone else.
After this, we did what,
Darby
PJ?
was supposed to talk. That's the other thing.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Forget about this part.
All of a sudden, yes.
Yes, Darby grabs the mic, and the crowd's excited to kind of see what Darby has to say, and he's positioned in front of the camera with the mic up to his mouth. And then we run the vignette promo on the screen that when we come back, Britt Baker will be celebrating her championship. And then I'm thinking, okay, we're going to cut back to Darby. Nope.
Go to break.
We go to break.
Fuck you, Darby. You're not getting in this. No, they really made him look like a fucking dipshit.
Well, maybe if you were watching on Fight TV, you would have caught the promo. And some other things when they, on a hot mic, they say racist things.
But that was, Darby is the man who should be talking here, and they just shut him out. It was bad all the way around.
We come back from the commercial, and we get an assortment of heels, PJ, in the ring. We get the Wingmen. We get Vicky Guerrero's stable.
Goof troop.
We get the Chaos Project.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Chaos Project, they're in the ring. We get TH2.
21 Pilots, that's right.
They're all in the ring together to celebrate Dr. Britt Baker. DMD, the AEW new Women's World Champion, after defeating Shida at Double or Nothing. She makes her appearance and says that everybody got some freebies that night. She's going to one-up Chris Jericho because she was going to gift everyone burger coupons. She told everyone to look underneath their seats and grab the burger coupons. Now, here was the bad part about this. The crowd of fans that they showed on that camera angle, no one time looked down for the burger coupons.
No, they didn't.
Baker did not know this because she had her back turned to these people, so it just made the whole thing look so silly.
Well, in the tray in the ring, too, you could not tell if there were coupons on that tray or not. So, the whole thing was just shot weird.
Yeah, she said that everyone had one taped to the bottom of their seat. And then she said, no, wait, they're all in the ring with her. She pulls a platter up and said those coupons belong to her because she's the one that did all the work and no one was along for the ride with her from day one.
Yeah, and it looked like an empty tray. So I don't know if that was the symbolism there or what. But
she said that DMD are the 3 letters that are going to take the company to a new level before inviting the 2 people who were along for the ride with her to toast burgers with her, Rebel and Tony Schiavone.
Yes.
They were about to toast with the burgers when Nyla Rose smacked the burgers out of their hands and threw the rest to the crowd. And then she walked off along with Vicky Guerrero.
And I don't want to hear any more bitching about New York segments. This turned into a Vince McMahon food fight segment. Right when I saw those burgers, I'm like, oh, this is going to turn New York. And it did.
We get Eddie Kingston being interviewed backstage. This was a little awkward. He was being asked a question before he could even answer. The Death Triangle roll up on him and tell him that they don't want or need his help and to keep their Kingston's nose out of their business.
Yeah, because we had issues 5 months ago.
Yes. Eddie said that he's going to keep it nice and simple and sweet and that the enemy of his enemy is his friend and they should let that marinate in their brains. Kingston did not look like he was into this at all. No. I felt like this was something last second. They sprung on him.
Well, it's something that didn't need for the show. I mean, it only lasted like a minute. It was not anything earth-shattering came out of it, and I guess they're just laying the seeds down the road for maybe a partnership or not. I don't know, but it just, it was strange.
Now, we were going to get a match, Red Velvet versus the Bunny. But before that, we ran a video package, PJ.
Yeah, we did.
But it wasn't involving Red Velvet and the Bunny.
Nope. We had Matt Hardy's video package running. Unless he signed them to a deal. I don't know. I haven't been following. Maybe on Elevation or Dark, they signed the Butcher and the Bunny or the Blade, and they're all under him. I don't know. But, yeah, all of a sudden the Matt video package was up. So I found that a little weird.
We get our match of Red Velvet and the Bunny. No disrespect to the ladies, but I'm getting tired. I'm running thin.
Yeah.
My voice is getting dry, so I'm going to cut the lip service and just give you the results. Red Velvet wins by pinfall against the Bunny.
Yeah.
Commentary. They were there. They were hyping up the next couple of weeks of matches, including Miro versus Uno next week.
Is that real? Miro versus Uno.
Evil Uno. Yeah.
Barn burner.
Miro cut a promo, talked about how he was much bigger, faster, stronger than Evil Uno, and he's got no shot at winning this match next week. Anyways, we get Dustin Rhodes making his entrance that did what, PJ?
Went to break.
Yeah, we come back from break, and this was our main event on Dynamite, the bull rope match. There was no explanation at all as to how we got here. If you don't watch Darker Elevation, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
We just came on out. Nick Camarado. Yeah, that was the match. Rhodes versus Camarado in the bull rope match. Camarado getting in, brawling before he can even have the rope put on his wrist.
Yeah. Another one, right? They didn't even make the ring. He got attacked on the damn ramp.
We got a military press that sent Rhodes flying into the ring. Referee Paul Turner calms him down long enough to get the rope on the wrist. Dustin trips him up, crotches him on the rope, gets put on the apron. Camarado chokes him with the rope. Rhodes fights back with the bell back inside off the ropes, crossbody, but Camarado catches him and he slips out. Cactus clothesline, sending both guys to the floor. Nick body backdrops him into the crowd. This has got a little silly because we're seeing the jobbers.
Yeah, still in that front row.
In the front row.
They shouldn't be there.
And you were saying at some point the fans have to cry foul and wonder why can't they be there against the gates.
Yeah, the real AEW fans. Because I also noticed there's Plant fans where this camera was too. I noticed that as the match went on, they had some beautiful people, I would say, just sitting around that front row. They weren't real AEW fans. They were acting. And
they noticeably looked pretty bored.
Yes, they were noticeable like that. And AEW fans got to say, hey, Tony, quit it. We're real fans. We want to be down there. Why are you paying your jobbers to be in that front row?
We got more rope choking on the outside. Finally got it back into the ring. Well, not before the press slams into the crowd.
Yeah. After he got Luchador choked him, and then the Boy George guy was there, and everything else. I mean, it was strange, the whole thing.
Camarado gets busted open with the bell. He gets fired up. He's bleeding from the forehead. He starts beating Rhodes down on the floor, and then, PJ?
We went to break.
We go to break. We come back from commercial. Camarado and Rhodes, they're fighting on the apron. Aaron Solo sets up a table. because, of course.
Need a damn table in the ballroom.
Nick Camarado, he sidesteps a boot and grabs him, power bombs him through the table, back inside. Solo takes a turnbuckle pad off, but Colton Gunn makes the save and brawls with him out on the floor. That turns a bulldog into the final cut lariat flapjack into the exposed turnbuckle. And there you go. Your winner by pinfall with the diving bulldog is Dustin Rhodes. He goes into the crowd, celebrates with them. He goes into the part of the crowd where there's tons of empty seats.
You picked up on that too. Yeah.
There you go.
Somebody told him you're supposed to go to this side. He didn't go to that side.
That's AEW Dynamite for you folks. All right, Slade.
PJ.
Bush League Mud Show. Thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube and also wherever you can listen to podcasts. Also check us out on social media at Bush League MS Pod.